Howdy everyone, it's all reliable SuperViper here, bringing you some more hot Mario action for the Do the Mario marathon. Here's a SM64 ROM hack I have not yet done for this, for RGLtv. This is SM64 The Green Stars, originally released by Compel in 2013, I think. I don't actually remember. So this hack has quite a bit of interesting mechanics to it that are worth explaining. So let's just go ahead and get this party started, as they say. Starting now, and I don't even need to start my timer because I'm using an auto splitter. Alright. So, what is there to say about the Green Stars? Not much. It's kind of your typical SM64 ROM hack, but also not exactly. It is, but it isn't. Alright, first off, this star's hard. Alright. Always good to get that out of the way. That's just a bomb clip. You're supposed to find a switch to open that gate. The start of this run is extremely difficult, by the way, so this first course is very reset heavy. This next star that I'm going to be doing is another one that can kill a lot of attempts. Nice. That probably only saved like 2 seconds, but it's totally worth it. And I want to give a quick shout out in quotes to Ayla Mario, who was basically a longtime cheater. And when I say a long time, I mean this is like over 10 years ago. They uploaded a fake world record in this category that was very obviously tasked and probably spliced as well. And it included that strat, and at the time, that strat was called out for being, like, way too difficult to perform in real time, and now it's just standard. I always find that windmill strat pretty fun. So, I guess I should probably explain 80 star. 80 star is the equivalent to a 70 star in the original SM64, where it's basically the intended star count for beating the game. Or intended any percent, I guess I should say. Unlike regular SM64, however, which bans BLJs, backwards long jumps, and mid-clip, the ROM hack community generally allows those types of things as long as the final star door requirement is not skipped. For the longest time, Green Stars actually used to be one of the exceptions to that rule. Because it was sort of like a legacy ROM hack, and because this ROM hack is so old and has a bit of a bigger history than other ROM hacks in terms of its speedrunning scene, and the older school runners generally stuck with vanilla SM64 rules and banned BLJs, so I will not be using any of those in this category. But recently, with some of those hacks, with some of those legacy hacks, there has been a movement to start shifting away from that old school rule set and start implementing the more modern rule set. Anyway, this first course is actually going pretty well for the most part. There's a lot of really tricky platforming. Even this star is super hard to do fast. Alright, that was really good. So, yeah. There's 130 stars in this hack total, and I'm actually playing on version 2.1, I think. Which received additional help from Kaze Manwar, a name you're probably familiar with. And that's the the patch that was made to this version isn't really applicable to this category, but I'll get more into some of that later. Maybe, I don't know. Another thing you've probably noticed by now is that the HUD is not visible. That's because there's a toggleable HUD in this hack. To toggle it, you have to press the R button. So, yeah, there you go. And as you can see, it also shows you how many stars in the current level you've gotten and which ones you haven't gotten, which is kind of useful. But, so, in case you're ever wondering what my star count is at any given point, don't worry, I know, but I'll probably flash the HUD every now and then just so you can see it. By the way, this is Fiery Factory. We've also got, I think this is Mario RPG music, I don't know. It's been a while since I've refresh myself on what the original soundtrack for this hack is. This is going to be one of the rare courses where I actually get every single star here. And there's not too much going on in this course in terms of crazy strats. It's mostly just a bunch of small stuff. This star is pretty annoying because of this wall kick chain right here. Okay. That, you have to get just the right amount of height to make it onto that ledge there. Because there's a part of that that's sloped, so if you don't get enough height, then you'll just slide into the lava. But if you get too much height, then you bonk on the wall, and then you fall into the lava anyway, so you kind of have to get good frame wall kicks and space everything out properly. Okay, so now I'm going to do reds and hundreds. Really, the main reason to do reds and hundreds is that it unlocks an act-specific later star that is relatively fast. There's routing in this category. I mean, the route has been pretty... Okay, and that's what I was talking about. I didn't get enough height there to make it onto that ledge, so I slid off. This should work, though. Yeah, there's a lot of stars. This category has had a few interesting routes. I'd say this route has been pretty standard for a while now. And like I said, I'm running on legacy rules. So there's a chance that if you were to allow BLJs, the route would be significantly changed up. But just for the sake of it. This is the route I'm used to, so that's just kind of how I figured I'd run it for this marathon. There's a lot of elevator cycles in this level that you have to make for certain stars, so I've missed like a couple on this star already because of the fumble earlier. But yeah, what I was trying to say earlier is that some of the stars in this route might seem a lot slow, but that's just because this hack has a lot of really long stars, so when you roll out the absolute fastest stars, then it starts to get into a bit more of a gray area. Please don't fall here. Okay, I'm good on coins. Alright, we have the opportunity to go for a double star spawn here. Hopefully I get this. Nah, I didn't get it. I grabbed the 100th coin too soon. If you're unfamiliar with what a double star spawn is, basically you get 2 star spawn cutscenes to play at the same time. It's frame perfect, though. And right there, if you happen to space out the 2, if you happen to grab the final red coin and then the 100th coin exactly 4 frames later, then you can get a double star spawn there, but I didn't space it out quite correctly. And I just saved and quit. Awesome. Okay, that's not too big a deal. That's only gonna lose me, like, maybe 10 seconds. It does cost me a couple of lives, though, but I don't think lives should be much of an issue in this hack. Got a kind of cool shortcut for this upcoming star. Nice. You need a pretty good angle for that, as well as getting decent height out of both of those wall jumps. Alright. So this star doesn't spawn until you get stars 1 through 4. Which includes the red coin star, so that's one of the reasons why I did the coin collecting. Also, you may hear a lot of clacking, and that's because I'm doing this, as with all of my ROM hack runs, I'm doing this on keyboard. And if you're wondering, how in the heck is this doable on keyboard? The current world record for this category is on keyboard, so there you go. Shouts just to go to SR, a SM64 ROM hack legend. You have to be really careful when you're climbing this part because it's super easy to slide off and fall all the way down and lose a ton of time. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Fiery Factory is another level that can be a pretty big early reset point. But I'm actually going to be going back in here because it turns out this course hides the entrance to the metal cap course, and I am going to want the metal cap for some stars later in the run. So we're going to make a quick trip there. to push this box slowly all the way into the wall here. There we go. So I have to go a pretty long way out of... I have to go pretty far out of my way here to get the metal cap switch. And unfortunately, there are 3 stars here, but aside from the red coin star, which takes way too long to be in this category, the other stars actually kick you out of the level. And they actually kick you all the way out of course 5 in general, so re-entering would take way too long. So I'm only going to get 1 star here. There is a more updated version of this hack that was released a few years ago, version 3.4, that actually fixes that and has a bunch of other quality of life improvements, which I'll go into some of those. I'll go in more into depth in some of those as we get later into the run. For now, this star sucks. Yep, I messed it up. So, in case you haven't noticed, this hack uses Mario Cam by default. You can switch to Lakitu Cam in the pause menu, but then you can't switch back to Mario Cam. And Lakitu Cam is not very good for this hack, so I'm basically stuck in Mario Cam for the entire run. And that makes that lava boosting section really difficult. You basically have to constantly be turning the camera in order to actually see what you're doing. But the updated version of this hack actually has what's known as parallel cam, which is way more friendly with Lakitu Cam. And here's the wing cap course. I am going to be getting both stars here this time. In earlier versions of this hack, red coin stars didn't kick you out, or red coin stars did kick you out of levels, including secret courses. But in this version, all secret courses treat red coin stars like a Bowser stage red coin star, so they don't kick you out. So in this case, it is actually beneficial to get the red coin star here. Unfortunately, there's no text skipping shenanigans I can do here. This part's pretty scary because of that Chuckya. Another thing, the toggleable HUD has, as you can see, it actually shows how much time is left on your cap in frames, which can be a useful metric to have. And interestingly, this hack actually doesn't have the vanish cap at all. It just has the metal and wing caps. So these are the only 2 cap courses in the game. Alright, so I got the red coin star. There's another star on top of that tower. Nice. That's one of the more simpler stars in the run. So now I'm going to be heading off to the first Bowser stage, Fearful Fortress, which is... A common theme with this hack is that the Bowser stages are really hard, especially in a speedrunning context. They're very long, and it's very easy to fall and lose a bunch of time. And basically, they're basically just big platforming gauntlets, like the original SN64. That's a secret star I bet no casual player would be able to find on their own. And since that's not a red coin star, it does kick me out of the level, but now I'm going to be getting the red coin star, which will allow me to stay in the level. And right here, I'm actually skipping a long hangable ceiling section. These Bowser stages are always extremely stressful in runs. If you're not careful, it's very easy to get your jumps eaten by these elevators, and then you just slide off and die. That is not how you're intended to get that red coin, and that jump will never not be terrifying. we're pretty much in the clear now. Always good to get past this stage without any deaths or super major mistakes. First Bowser fight, basically the same as the original, except the bombs are now higher. So hitting the throw is a bit trickier. And on keyboard, there is actually a strat for getting quick Bowser spins, where you basically have to mash, you have to hold right and mash left, but that's very hard to do in Mario Cam. So that's why I'm turning the camera here, just to make it a little bit easier. That spinning Bowser strat is more, it's better to do in a Lakitu Cam, but again, I can't freely switch to Lakitu Cam without losing my ability to switch back, so I have to kind of resort to that alternate strategy. Unfortunate missed throw there, but not a huge deal, I guess. Again, this hack is very unforgiving in terms of the speedrun. It's very easy to make one simple mistake and lose several minutes. Alright, so here's a Polygonous Cove. This, for a water level, this course is surprisingly broken. And I had a feeling that wouldn't work. Oh. We're trying to do a punch clip similar to the ones you see in the original SM64. Okay, I have no idea why this isn't working. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get this star. That's not how you're intended to get that star, by the way. You're supposed to use a metal cap and hit a switch. Yeah, this clip is pretty annoying because you have to clip like on the far left side of the ramp, and it's easy for the wall hitbox to push you out. There we go. If I clipped any farther to the right, then I wouldn't have made it into this part of the cave, which will actually be useful in another star that I'll be doing, but I didn't really want it to happen there. That's another one of the more simpler stars in the run, but it's always sad whenever you mess up that star in any way. Alright. Alright, let's see if I can get a clip without a punch. Nice! So those ceiling down warps, basically what you're doing is you're clipping through a very steep floor, and if you've seen Pan and Koic's video on Invisible Wall, you know that in water, ceiling hitboxes move you downwards, so basically you're just getting a giant downward from the ceiling of the cave. But those clips are possible without underwater punches, but they're usually a lot harder, but that slope is just so steep that generally just swimming straight into it will often be enough to just get a straight clip without needing to punch, which saves a little bit of time. The camera for this star is kind of obnoxious. I don't think I'm gonna make it. No. Yeah, not really much you can do to make the camera any better for that. You just kind of have to deal with it. And since I'm on keyboard, I'm limited to basically 8 directions, so situations like that where I can want a precise angle but can't get one are pretty common. That's just one of the sacrifices you have to make when playing on keyboard. Time for Snowstorm Peaks, and we're going to be starting off with one of the best strats in all of SM64 ROM hack speedrunning history, in my opinion. Hopefully I get this within a couple of attempts. So I'm going to clip into here. Ah, I just barely missed it. You probably saw what I was trying to do there. Basically what I'm trying to do is trigger the death barrier and then get clipped into that tunnel and grab the star before the death fade out kicks me out. This is known as a death star grab, and it's pretty commonplace in TASes. There we go. It's pretty commonplace in TASes, but that's one of the only RTA viable death star grabs that I know of. So it's really nice that I get to show that off. And that saves time if you get it, because a death exit lets you re-enter the course slightly faster than a regular star exit. So I'm gonna try to clip through this floor here while this penguin. This is faster if you get it first try, but I mainly do it because I hate doing this star the normal way. You have to climb up this series of boxes, and it's super easy to ledge grab and drop the penguin. Although you have to be careful when doing that, because if you get down warped into the cave that I just got that other star in, then you actually can't get out. So you have to swim around the outer edge.
Here we go.
That's kind of one of the nice things about running this hack, is that I don't feel like it has a high number of really cool strats in this run, but the cool strats that are in this run are some of the most interesting in all of ROM hack speedruns, so that's kind of why I like running this hack, and the movement is always really satisfying to do. Anyway, health management is pretty important for this star. Okay. If I didn't grab that coin and before hitting the lava, I definitely would have died. So I played it a bit riskier than I should have there. But paid off. I'm gonna do another hundreds and reds here. Maybe. And coin RNG is a very big deal in this star. That was not good. You kill a lot of enemies here, and if you miss too many coins, then you usually have to get a backup snowman. And you already have to get at least 2 snowmen in this 100 coin run anyways. Okay. That Goomba was like really blocking that blue coin, so I was worried I was gonna miss it. So I don't need to get any backup snowman, thankfully. Bit of a slow start, but not terrible, I guess. Say the last 2 stars here are particularly interesting. This one's mostly just movement and platforming. Well, you have to be careful here, because if you move too fast forward too quickly there, you can just run through the floor and fall through the mountain and die. So I actually have to slow down there a little bit. That slope is extremely slippery, so you can't really do the kick trick up there, so doing that slope climb can be kind of risky. Because if you fail to get up there, then you just slide all the way down. And then this star is about as self-explanatory as it can be. That's just overall a very, very difficult level to get a clean segment in. Something almost always ends up costing you a bunch of time. Alright. Gotta use this cannon to get to Toadstar here. That might work. There. Cannon shots in this game are actually pretty unforgiving. Because usually there's a huge penalty for missing them. And on keyboard especially, aiming cannons is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Basically, the reason why that is because since I'm using buttons for the control stick and not an actual control stick, every time I press a direction on the arrow keys, it basically acts as if I'm tilting the control stick all the way. So, you can't really do micro adjustments like you can on a controller without analog. So here's Womp's Forest. There's 2 stars here that require the wing cap, which is why I didn't do this course earlier. And for the most part, there's not really a whole lot going on here. You've got Fungi Forest music. That can be a kind of perilous jump there. Because again, if you fall off those blocks, then you're just falling all the way down. What else can I say about this hack? I guess I can go ahead and shout out the 130 stars task of this hack from 2017 by Homer Funky, Nis, and SM64 Expert. I would definitely recommend watching that. Even though the task is almost 9 years old, it still holds up really, really well. It's a very entertaining watch. This hack is... when you are able to fully exploit everything this hack has to offer, it can be quite entertaining. There's a lot of really fun strategies in that task. Got a usual King Womp fight. Nothing out of the ordinary here, except King Womp is a bit shorter for some reason. Nice downward. That was a squish down warp, I'm pretty sure. So this star is one of the few stars where if I were doing BLJs in this run, this BLJs would actually save a couple... There is a BLJ strat that would actually save a couple seconds on this star, but since I'm abiding by legacy rules, I'm not doing it. It's pretty difficult anyways, and again, it doesn't really save too much time. And that'll cover it for the first overworld. Now you get to watch this excellent door animation. Yeah, for some reason, Mario always gets offset to the side when opening this door, and it actually causes him to kind of downwarp off the steps, so you have to jump back up in order to actually open the door. So here's Boo's Trembling Tower. This level sucks. I'm only going to be getting 1 star here. It's the only star that's fast, because every other star just takes way too long. In 130 star, this level is so bad. It's super repetitive, super long, and there's basically nothing interesting about it. There's no interesting strats you can do or anything. Alright. Time for a Scorching Desert. Alright, gotta pretty tough star to start off here. That is not how you're intended to get that star. I think you're supposed to have tornadoes spawn on a later mission, and then you use those to whirl over there, but you can just barely make that gap with a long jump. Okay, so this star has a really, really dumb strat that I'm gonna attempt once. It's pretty unlikely I will get this, but I'll try it for the sake of the marathon. Okay, I kind of messed up my angle. Ah. Okay, I'm not gonna try it again. So it's possible to, barely do a long jump wall kick across that gap. You're supposed to climb along a hangable ceiling there. There's like 3 different ways to skip that hangable ceiling, but they're all really, really hard. And all carry a pretty significant risk factor with them, so I'm not gonna attempt that again. So instead we have to slowly climb along the ceiling here. So if I had gotten that, I would have probably saved about like 15 seconds, which is pretty massive, so it's kind of unfortunate how annoying that strat is. You can get it without a first frame wall kick, but it's way easier if you get one. And this hack has a lot of those high-risk strats that, unfortunately, a lot of them actually do save quite a bit of time, so... It's, like I said, this hack is very difficult in a speedrunning context. That invisible wall basically always gets me. So, again, reds and hundreds here take too long, and also there's a secret star. There's a star where you have to collect 5 secrets. That's also really long, so that's all I'm going to be getting from there. But there's another secret course actually hidden within this level. It's not a cap course. It's just this hidden ancient temple. And in older versions of this hack, including this one, this course is really fun in 130 star because it has a red coin star. That's basically in this giant maze. If you don't have, like, a map or a planned route through that maze, then prepare for that star to take you, like, 15 minutes. But there's also another star here that's pretty easy to get. Yeah, there's a red coin star in there that all the red coins are in this giant maze, and even optimally, it takes like 3 minutes to actually do that star. Alright. So here is Sandy Seaside Bay with the worst arrangement of Beach Bowl Galaxy you will ever hear. Hopefully you won't have to hear the egregiously bad part. But yeah, this is the level with the infamous ear-destroying note, hour-long note meme that you may have heard of before. But hopefully, I won't be in this level long enough for you to actually have to suffer through that. Alright, I need Chucky to come over here. Come on. This is a bit slow, but... There we go. That's a really big skip there, because the intended way to get that star involves a lot of swimming. And swimming is very slow. pretty self-explanatory star. This is actually one of the easier levels in the run. Also, I have no idea why I'm getting so much lag. Got a wiggler fight here. Not much to say about it aside from that. Alright, we didn't have to hear the terrible high-pitched note at the very end of this song's loop. So, your ears can thank me later. Yeah, the mid-eye arrangements in this hack aren't generally the greatest. There's some that are okay, but most of them are honestly just pretty bad. Also, there's just a Toad Star there. There's no MIPS in this hack, so... Alright. Here's the giant overgrown garden with the Maple Treeway music. So this is not how you're intended to get up here. Wow, that was bad. You see that purple switch over there? You're supposed to use that to create some blocks to get up here. But it's just slightly faster to do that triple jump wall kick, which is really, really hard. Okay, I'm gonna do the Maze Star next. So yeah, just kind of casually clip into the maze here. And this is another very, very convoluted maze that it's very easy to get lost in if you don't know what you're doing. Like, navigating to that star isn't too hard, as long as... if you have the route memorized. But again, it's very easy to get lost. So I'm gonna be actually getting the 100 coin star here, but not carrying it with the red coins, because the red coins are very spread out, and 2 of them are actually in the maze. And I'll go ahead and mention that in version 3.4 of this hack, which is the more modernized version, the coin requirements have been reduced to 6 red coins and 80 regular coins for those respective stars. So the coin routes in that are considerably different than what you're going to see here. And also there's a few stars that have been replaced or just moved around. For example, in the secret ancient temple that I mentioned, the terrible red coin star, that was just replaced with a star that's just hidden in the maze. And also, when you enter those mazes, you get like a zoomed out camera of the entire maze so you can actually see where you're going. Yeah. The nice thing about this level is that it has a lot of big Goombas, which give blue coins. So this is actually one of the faster 100 coin stars in the game. And it pairs pretty nicely with this star here. Again, last 2 stars aren't going to have a whole lot going for them. This is just a find the 5 piranha star. That going for that ground pound might be a bad decision, but hey, it paid off. Ended up saving a few frames by doing that. That jump is actually deceptively difficult. Partly because of the camera and partly just because of the weird geometry. We're done there. And here's another course where I'll actually be getting all 7 stars. Molten Magma Galaxy. And fittingly, it uses the Melting Molten music. Okay. That's just marginally faster than using that switch for the boxes, which is what you're intended to do. You can just barely get enough height for that to work, so it's actually quite tight. Okay, so I'm getting reds in hundreds here. This is a pretty fast star, and it's also kind of necessary for this route because there's a lot of gate-kept stars in this course that are act-specific, so... But it works out nicely here because, again, the 100 coin star is just already really fast to begin with. Always nice to get that high-speed slide kick. That's not good. I'm gonna have to get a backup chuck, yeah. Oh my goodness, why? I don't know how that happened. I meant to do a jump dive onto that pillar, but I just didn't. That sucks. That's not even a mistake that's commonly made, so... At least I actually am getting all the blue coins this time. That's what I wanted to do the first time. I don't know. I guess getting that extra chuck gift threw me off. Right, it is possible to get a double star spawn here, but yeah, I didn't even really get to go for it. So that's gonna cost me a lot of time. It's probably gonna cost me like a minute. That bob-omb will be important later, but not right now. I'm dead. Nice. Okay. This level's not going as smoothly as I would have liked it to. I don't know why. I've been having a hard time with the bullies lately, and I'm not entirely sure why. Come on. And I just flat out missed the big bully there, so that's cool. Alright, I am already losing time to my best segment, and I have 3 stars left. This has not been going well. So yeah, PB is basically dead at this point, but it was probably already on life support before this level. Another star that kind of just speaks for itself. You'll notice that pipe wasn't there before, so that's why I had to get stars 1 through 3. Alright. Hopefully these next 2 stars can redeem me. Specifically the first of the 2. So here's a really fun strat. So I'm able to fly with this bob-omb because I'm in a state called hands-free holding. Which is actually a... Okay, I'm surprised I got that. So you're supposed to use a shell for that underground ride there, but if you can clip into that pillar with a bob-omb and then just fall into that tunnel and you can just barely lava boost to the star. That probably saves like 20 or so seconds. I'm actually surprised I got that. I was totally expecting to fail that. I need to get that flight reflected off of out of bounds so that I can make it to this pillar. Alright. So I lost almost 2 minutes to my gold here. Not good. And I'm gonna take an intentional death here to save some overworld movement time. Mamma mia! And now we're heading off to the second Bowser level, the Tower of Terror. And I will actually be getting all 4 stars here. And here's another lava boosting lava fall star that's terrible, just like the one in the Metal Cap course. Alright, that went really well. It's very easy to... There's like a little ceiling above that alcove there it's very easy to get blocked by that ceiling and you just fall all the way down and you just end up losing a ton of time to that star, and that star is also really hard. And the 4th star is the red point star, and again, because it doesn't take you out of the level in this version of the hack, I can get it. Wow, I'm having such a hard time with words right now. I can afford to collect it since I can just pair it with the trip to the Bowser fight. Getting both of those red coins with those lava boosts is actually kind of difficult. It's hard to see what you're doing, especially because the red coins blend in with the lava. But as the tradition with this hack, this Bowser stage is very terrifying. It's super easy to fall and lose several minutes. Nice, that swamp stayed up long enough for me to... Alright, don't get hit by the Evo. Okay. I probably should have played it a bit more safe there. part's also kind of scary because the camera doesn't like to cooperate, and also you have to dodge that fire spitter. So, setting up for that triple jump dive definitely lost me time there, but it's actually quite a bit safer than going up the normal way. Alright. This Bowser fight sucks. Because once again, there's only one bomb, it's raised a lot higher, and again, I can't use Lakitu Cam, so spinning Bowser on keyboard is way harder. Wow, I just completely butchered that. And he's gonna fall off. Yep. So, yeah. You have to move Bowser closer to this bomb and then just try to get... Alright. That could have gone worse. I have lost several minutes on that Bowser fight before. Alright, so that covers it for Overworld 2. And a lot of the courses in Overworld 3 are really, really slow, so I'm not going to be getting too many stars from most of them. In fact, there's one of the main courses that I'm actually not going to be visiting at all. Because the shortest star is act-specific and requires getting... it's course 11. The shortest star in that course is act-specific, and it requires getting the first 5 stars in order to do. And every other star takes at least a minute and a half, so... Yeah. Misty Mine. I'm only going to be getting 3 stars here, and not too much to say otherwise. Nothing too crazy going on here for the most part. You might notice that the bowling balls are just kind of falling into the void there. That's not what they're supposed to do. Older ROM hacks have an issue where entering certain levels will cause objects with waypoints to just become broken, and that applies to these bowling balls. So they don't actually go on the path they're intended to, they just kind of fall off at some random point. And they actually kind of crowd up out on the death barrier, which can cause a lot of lag if too many of them are down there. And that also affects certain other stars, including some that involve moving platforms and a couple of Koopa the Quick races. But none of those stars are in this route, so they don't that doesn't really apply to this category. And 130 star, a mandatory reset is actually required in order to get around that issue. So if you're really fancy, you can go for a speed kick double jump dive into that star, but it's very, very tight, and most of the time you just miss it and fall into the lava and have to lava boost to the star. So this room, there's actually a toad up here. This will be the last of the 3 toad stars in the run. So this is Perilous Cliffs, and much like the previous course, there's not too much interesting stuff going on here. This is definitely the hardest star of the level here, at least in this category. That slope is extremely slippery, so if you don't get that jump off of it, you just slide off and die. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting every star here except for the coin collecting stars, and again, most of them aren't anything super special. This star can be super annoying, though. Super easy to mess up climbing up those boxes and just fall down. Again, not really much to say about these stars. We'll get to some more interesting ones in a little bit. That does mean this course is sort of a breather. There's nothing super scary that can go on behind besides basic mistakes. Relatively easy level, for late game at least. I'm gonna take an intentional death there in order to get back here a little bit quicker. So now I'm gonna head to course 15, Rainbow Star Haven. And you're supposed to use that cannon to enter the level, but you can just wall jump into it. And again, I'm only gonna be getting 3 stars here. We also have a very questionable arrangement of Good Egg Galaxy's music. So there is a star you can get by going all the way up that tower, but there's also a pipe down there that takes you to this star. I'm not going to get the star from going all the way up the tower because it takes very long. It's a long climb. It would have been really cool if I managed to get that movement, but I did not. I have to take a much slower back up. Oh goodness. Okay. The red parts are very slippery, and the orange parts are instant death. So climbing up that can be very tough. Quick fun fact about this section that I'm going to. So this level is a lot bigger than levels in the original SM64 are, as is the case with a lot of levels in this hack. In fact, right now, my coordinates are actually greater than 12,000, and there's a certain function in the game's code that moves that's responsible for moving certain objects that just doesn't work when their coordinates are greater than 12,000. So you'll notice that when I collect this star, the particle effects look a little bit weird, and because those particles actually rely on that function. And also, if you spawn a 100 coin star in that section of the level, it actually soft locks the game. And that was a bit of a problem in older ROM hacks, but it's not really an issue anymore. Alright, so there's also a hidden slide level in this course that's just over here. And hopefully this first star doesn't take me too many tries. So there's an intentional invisible wall there that was placed to prevent you from skipping the entire slide, but you still can. It's actually quite difficult to do that. You need to slide off the slide from a very good position and angle. But it saves a lot of time. Unfortunately, I have to make the long trek back to that slide just for one more star. So try and guess where this star is. I wonder how many of you would be able to find that on your own. So those are the only two stars I'm gonna get there. And that just leaves a cloudy quadrangle, which is sort of an anticlimactic final course here. I'm only gonna be getting 3 stars here, and none of them are particularly interesting. So that wasn't just for style, that is actually a faster way of climbing up those poles. If you do it optimally, that is. It's actually pretty difficult to save time with it. Swamp RNG is kind of an important factor here, because the swamp cycle is basically RNG. Kind of just have to react to it. Alright, just 1 star left. It's just kind of hidden in this chimney here. Okay, and that's 80 stars. Which is enough to enter the final Bowser level without doing any unintended skips. And in the final Bowser level, there is a really, really big skip that I am going to attempt, but the odds of me actually hitting this are probably less than like 10%. So, we'll see how this goes. So I got a bloated bomb on here, and now it's in hands-free holding. This is the big part right here. Ah! So what I wanted to do there was side flip dive into that bomb at its largest bloat size and then use it to clip me through the wall there. But I didn't get the side flip dive, so... It's a really, really big skip. And it saves like 40 seconds if you get it first try, but it's also really, really hard. And it's at the right at the end of the run, so... Okay. So I'm not gonna bother attempting it again unless I die. This is a very long level, so it's kind of unfortunate that that skip is as hard as it is, and you'd have to do it right at the end of the run. We got a long pull section here. In fact, this pull is so long, I think they actually split it into 2 pulls here. So you'll see Mario just kind of stop climbing up after certain points, and I have to jump to grab the second pull. Okay, don't bonk. Okay. I was worried I was gonna bonk and fall all the way down there. So if I had gotten that bomb clip that I tried, then I would have ended up in this room. But like I said, the odds of me actually getting that shot were impeccably low, so I'm not surprised I didn't get it. Oh, dang it. Just kidding. Press 1 if I actually got you with that. So here is the final Bowser fight, and since this is the end of the run, I can actually switch to a Lakitu cam to make these Bowser throws a bit easier. That being said, I have to make sure I don't have Bowser breathe fire here, otherwise there's a non-0% chance that the game could crash. But hopefully that just won't happen. That should hit. Nice. Alright. So we're gonna be coming up on time here in just a minute. Not the greatest run, but hopefully, as usual, it was entertaining and a decent showcase of what speedrunning this hack has to offer. So, the timer says 1:07:41 because that's real time, but in-game time, that was actually like a 1:07:32. I lost like 8 seconds. I lost like 8 seconds to lag in this run. But thankfully, I have an in-game time now that accounts for that. So that was SM64, the Green Stars. Like I said, very, very difficult hack, but it does have a lot of cool strats and a lot of cool movement. So it's a pretty fun hack to learn, and just don't expect your first runs to go well. There's probably going to be a lot of big mistakes. Yeah, that's all I've got for today. So I will see you all on Sunday with Mario Galaxy 2 and SM64 Randomizer. So yeah, glad I got to show this hack off finally. Oh, actually, before you take me off, if you haven't already, there is one more thing I want to show. Also, the ending is kind of broken, but whatever. So, you want to see how fast you can soft lock this game? So I go in here. Yeah, and there you go. That's the fastest way to soft lock this game. So I'll just end it on that because I just think that's super entertaining. So again, yeah, thanks for watching.